the other one that we could have done is D, and to work out D, I didn't actually put that in the answers, but if you look at the existing ground on D, it's a good one for people that didn't do their own long section in the assignment, and a good one for people that did do their own long section, because we have a pipe invert and the cut being, now in this case there's no platform, just the pipe, so therefore the pipe becomes the difference between the cut and the fill. So 94.49 and 1.2 is the cut. You see the little bit of cut up the top. So if I took the ground level is up above it, so I'll need to add that to that and I'll get D. So 94.49 plus 1.2 is equal to D. Alright? Let's go to the next one. Y and Z. We'll do this one over here. So another way of looking at this is in elevation. So we have Y up the top and Z down the bottom. We have two contours going through, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's turn it into a triangle. So the overall distance there is 20.3. Right? And we're asked for, I think we're asked for A, aren't we? Is that correct? No, we're asked, what do we actually ask for?
Y.
We're asked to figure out what Y is. Yeah. Okay, but we are given a little bit more information. I have to go back to a previous page here. In that Z, in that A equals 7. And A is a distance to 54. So we know that Z is 53.4. And we know that that height there is 54.0. And we know that distance there is 7. Right? But we don't know what that distance is. And once we figure out that distance, we can work out what the level is at Y. This is what we call equal triangles, or equilateral triangles, I think the teacher used to tell me. So we've got one that is 7, what's that height? 0.6. And it needs to match the bigger triangle, which is 20.3, and question mark. Can anyone tell me the math?
Is it just the same as you did before? Is that almost the cut and fill?
It's very similar to cut and fill in that 0.6 divided by 7 equals question mark divided by 20.4. 0.6 divided by 7, because that proportion is the same proportion as that. It's just a continuation of the same triangle. So Can anyone tell me what question mark equals?
1.74.
It equals, say that again? You said it right.
1.74. It's 1.74.
The answer is 1.74, and if you can tell me how you got that, then I'll tell you how to
0.6.
get half a mark.
0.6 into 20.3 divided by 7
0.6
into 20.3
times
20.3
20.3 divided by 7, the whole lot divided by 7.
yeah, whole.
The whole lot divided by 7? Okay, and you ended up with 0,
1.74.
1.74. That sounds correct to me. Therefore that's 1.74. Therefore 53.4 plus 1.74 equals, earn your half mark, give me the answer at the end.
It's 55.14.
55.14. Yeah. So you've got till 12 o'clock tonight. The clock's ticking. If you don't email, I mean you can email a friend, but that's not going to give you half a mark. Email me before 12. I had a student in the degree class that thought I was joking, and then he realised I wasn't, but it was well past midnight when he emailed me. And I sent him back a little emoji of a little violin. Doesn't talk to me anymore for some reason, but never mind. There we are, there's what I put on the board, and there's the maths that managed to get somebody half a mark. Okay? Sometimes it does pay to be the teacher's pet. Alright, I'm going to go over the spreadsheet again just to revise you of what the columns are, because a lot of people didn't realise it was going to be in the test, and they probably didn't want to take that much notice. I mean, when you do your assignment, you just put the numbers in, done, right? But I just need to show you what each column means, because you will get at least a couple of questions on this. So just give me a second and I'll do that. I'll make those answers available to you now, okay? So you've got your questions and your answers. Oh, by the way, what I didn't do was I didn't go over the questions. So the first question is, finish the sentence. A grade is a regular change in elevation, always expressed as a percentage or a regular change in elevation relative to 100 units, or always expressed as 1 length. The answer is a regular change in elevation relative to every 100 horizontal units. An additional cross-section is often picked up by surveyors. The reason for that, and it's not just surveyors, it's often engineers. When you're asked to go out on site and pick up cross-sections, always be aware of what is around your surroundings. So if there's a tree, or there's a retaining wall, or a big dip and a fall and a big hollow, or a big mountain of dirt, and it falls between cross sections, go back and do a cross section through that. Otherwise, you'll get a false representation of the earthworks. Okay? There we are, there's the question I said that is in the test. Remember I talked about benching, how you can make it steeper by doing that. There's the answer to that question, is benching. And that's kind of how the questions go. You can click into the box your answer and save it, and you can come back and change it if you want to. But you have to save it again. And it's dangerous if you're doing it close to the end of the quiz and the quiz suddenly stops, because you might not even have an answer in there, and that's a bit silly on the multi-choice, not having an actual, at least have a guess, right? Now you want to know about this spreadsheet, so if you go to week 5, for his model lab example answer has got a sheet there with a formula on it. I'll just open that up if it lets me.
मैले सिकाउँदैन हामीले मैले बनाउने सोध यिनीहरूलाई केटाहरूको ग्रुपमा पश्चातिर मैले नै एड गरिदिन्छ है ग्रुपमा लिमिटेडमा
Okay,
यिनी हेर
so this won't take much longer than 5 or 10 minutes, everybody, so we'll just have your
मैले
attention.
बनाएको
And you can carry on with what you need to carry on with after that, okay? Right, so we have a spreadsheet here with the formula in it, I hope. Just trying to get to it, here we are. So the first, hold on guys, just wait me a second, just we'll go through this and then you can chat as much as you like. Okay. Distance. That distance is an accumulative distance. Notice it's not starting at 0. I suggest on the assignment you start from 0, but most roads don't start from 0. They start from a chainage halfway along a road and then finish further down the road. So most of the long sections you'll ever do on roads will never start from the same change point of 0. And also notice that the first one's put in there, even though the cut is 0, 0, like you're going to have, we put the first one in along the top at 0, 0. It won't have any bearing over here, that'll all be 0. The next line is put in by you, so really you're putting in those and you're putting in those, okay? And that should give you an answer over here. Now just out of interest, if I change that number to 1,000, sorry, 1,000. No, doesn't want to do 1,000. Try 500. No, 800. We get a number down the bottom here, which is that number there. I see. I've put the word cut in there. The spreadsheet only says fill. So if the spreadsheet says a number like negative as an answer, then that'll be cut. All right. So when you do your assignment, if you get a negative answer, it means it's cut. Wasn't a bad way of explaining it, really. So getting back to what each column means, the average sum is very simple. So that number there is going to be equal to, you go backwards by 1 and you end up with those two. It's going to be equal to those two divided by 2. That one there is going to be equal to those two divided by 2. So the average sum. Alright? The next column I've talked about, the interval, is just the difference between each distance. Notice it changes. And now we're going to do quantities. The quantity here is going to be equal to the interval times the average area. Make sure I got that right. G7 times I7. This one here is going to be equal to the interval times that. Is that rain, is it? No?
Is
Well, AC. This is the only complicated part of the whole thing, and this is the one that there's definitely a question in there. I made sure there was. So if you get the spreadsheet, there's a chance this could be the column that it starts annoying you about. This column here. And most of you, if you open the spreadsheet, won't be able to understand that. Really, what it's saying is, it's saying that basically, I'll use another colour, blue, go back to, way back to D8 and D9, so way back to here, these two, and it's saying make sure the little one's on top and the big one's on the bottom. A bit like the school bully, always getting beaten up by the little fella. Not really. I've got a good example. Putin and Trump. Okay, so let's do another one. This one here. We'll go back, this is in cut, so it'll be those two. And the lowest one is the 6.32, so it'll be 6.32 divided by 7.65. Now over the years I've made all sorts of examples to the big one on top and all sorts of things. And a student said to me, why don't you just tell everybody a ratio is always equal to less than 1, which is correct. All that time, and it was a female student, said to me, just tell people it's less than 1, they'll understand. So, in other words, the little number on top. Alright? Once you've got that in your brain, I will not make you remember that. That formula there, it'll drive you nuts trying to remember that. That is just the Prism correction factor. What you do need to know though is that number there is going to be equal to the correction factor times the original quantity. Right? You are so lucky. They go back 10 years and this was in the exam. Students used to have to fill it out from quantity sheets. Don't have to do anything like that. Okay, so obviously the bottom is the total of the last columns, and you'll probably find that if I total these up, let's total these up, shall we? So if I total those up, that comes to 895, that comes to 831. So that's the difference the Prism calculation sheet makes between the old fashioned way of doing it and the more accurate way of doing it. So there is, if that was in cubic meters, that's a lot of cubic meters difference. That's it. I'm done. Anyone got a general question about the test or about anything that's coming up? No? So you will be allowed your AutoCAD open, Moodle open, and the notes on Moodle, of course, you're allowed to have them open as well. Alright? No personal notes. And definitely not Google or ChatGPT or something like that. And you can't have your cell phone on talking to your wife or husband or boyfriend or girl or trans, whatever.
Left right, like it came with the 60 minus 70.